I was doing my crossover seals and I decided to go ahead and change the valve cover gaskets. This car has over 160,000 miles on it. So I already did the rear cover and posted that video, and so now I'm going to do the front cover. I'll link the corresponding videos in the description. I already took the camshaft pulley off and as I described earlier, and now I'm going to take this top radiator hose off. I'm going to see if I can just get by with moving it off to the side here. And now I'll loosen the coil pack bolts, which there's a certain sequence, and I'll show you a picture of that. Okay, I got all the bolts out. I'm going to remove this radiator hose holder. Okay, that was hard to get out. I had to tap on the end of that bolt to give a little bit of space there, and was finally able to maneuver it out. Okay, the coil came out easily. I better clean this up before I pull out these boots. Okay, I got the spark plug boots out. They say in the book you need to remove the fan, but I'm gonna take these valve cover bolts out now and see if I really do need to remove the fan. Okay, I got all but one out using this tool, and I don't know if you can see, but on this one I had to use this tiny wrench, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, it's just a miniature ratchet with a flex head, and then it's a 1/4 inch swivel, 180 swivel I believe is what they call it, with a magnetic bottom. Okay, it's coming loose, and I'm going to take this seal off here, and it should slip off there. This wire clip harness on the left side is holding it, so I'll unclip that. Okay, I gently slid it out to the right. You can see it was leaking pretty bad. So I never did have to take the fan out. I think the reason they tell you that is so you can get a tool in there. And it does take some small hands, especially on the left side, that last bolt I took out. I'll go ahead and get this cleaned up, and then I'll get back with you. I've got all the surfaces cleaned up now. Cleaned it up with some lacquer thinner. Used a degreaser on this part, and a lot of scrubbing, and then lacquer thinner at the very end. I'm getting ready to do a dry fit, and this wire harness is in the way, so I'm just going to disconnect it from the starter so I can pull that out. I have taken the intake off, and according to the book, you don't have to do that with this front one. But since I got the intake off, I'll go ahead and disconnect that starter. I was having trouble getting that 10mm bolt off, so I just removed one wire. But that gave me a little bit more flexibility here, so that should help. Okay, I figured out how to get this back on there. First, put it over this, have it fairly straight here, and have this corner down here almost lined up, and then this back side has to be pretty close to this pipe. You can see where it's at. Now I'll bring this wire harness up over this corner, and it'll fall right down in there, like that. So I'll take this back out and do a quick clean one more time on the surfaces and glue that gasket in. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of silicone grease on these grommets and put them in place. I'll do one more cleaning, just a quick wipe of the lacquer thinner, and then I'll put a very tiny bead of Mega Black down in this groove and put my gasket on. Okay, I've got it sitting on this flat piece of marble, and I'll let it sit here for an hour. Okay, I've wiped everything down one more time. I'll put this on and just kind of lay it in there, and then I'm gonna put the seal on. I forgot to tell you, I did put lithium grease on here because on the cams, because they've been sitting so long. Been sitting over 3 months. Okay, I got it sitting down in there. Now I'm going to put the seal on. Everything I needed came with this kit. I'll link it in the description. The screws are not going to go in there until I get this thing torqued down, so I'll go ahead and hand thread these bolts. I've put a little tiny bit of this silicone grease on there, so on the collar, so they don't hang up on that grommet. Okay, I got everything snugged down lightly, and I did get the seal on and the bolts started, but I'm not gonna screw them in or torque anything down until tomorrow. The tool that worked really good for all the bolts was this one. It's a miniature 1/4 inch flex, and attached to it is a 1/4 inch to 3/8, and then the stubby stubby extension, and then a 3/8 10 millimeter. I'll give that Mega Black overnight to dry up, and then I'll come out here in the morning and torque it down and finish putting that seal in. Okay, it's a new day here, and I'm gonna try to torque down these bolts. Now, Scotty Kilmore says to do it from the center out, and because the lower side tends to leak more than the upper, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tighten first this one, torque this one down, then torque this one. Then I'll torque each one on the side of the bottom one. Then I'll come back up here and torque these two. And then I'll torque this side one, and then I'll come back and torque these two on this very outside. So I'll do that at 89 inch-pounds, and then this over here is 27 inch-pounds, and I'll keep my eye on that as I torque everything down. You can see how this wrench just fits in there perfectly, and I'll show you my combination in just a minute. Okay, so got this 1/4 inch torque bar from Harbor Freight, 1/4 inch to 3/8 adapter, this stubby extension, and then this 10 millimeter 3/8. I was able to torque down 8 out of the 9 bolts. Okay, I was trying to put this on backwards. Silly me. So this flange right here goes facing outward. And I'm going to put a little Mega Black between the seal and this cam cover. Okay, so I've got that Mega Black around there, so I'll put this on. I'm also going to put a tiny little bit on these little bolts. Okay, I got them torqued down to 27 inch-pounds, and I'm going to try to put my crossover in before I put the camshaft pulley back on. It probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but I'll get back with you once I get that done. I almost forgot time to put in the spark plug boots. I cleaned them and made sure everything looked good on the spring. I didn't see any marks on the old plugs, no black carbon tracking, so I think these are okay to reuse. I greased them up with some silicone grease at the top here and down at the bottom, and a tiny bit inside here. I've got the ignition coil module ready, and got it all cleaned up, so I'm gonna set that in there. Okay, I've got it sitting in there, and I've just started the bolts on these. It takes a certain sequence of tightening, and you have to do it gradually. I'll show you the picture. So basically, this is an L shape, and so you start with the bolt down here by the L, and you do this one, this one, this one, this one, and then you go in a counterclockwise. Back over to this one, and swing over to this one, and this last one. I got all the bolts down now, screwed in. I didn't torque them down like I did the rear head. I did the rear coil at 89 inch-pounds, but I see a few minor cracks, hairline cracks, so I didn't want to tighten this down too much, but I did get it snug. I used this wrench and I just snugged it up, and so it feels pretty tight. I think it'll do. It's probably close to 80 inch-pounds, somewhere between 80 and 89. Okay, the time has come to put the camshaft pulley back on. I've got this part in the sun to try to get it a little bit bigger. I've got the skits, again, 67010 from O'Reilly's. Okay, I'm going to use this one. It has a stepped threads, and I'm going to take this big piece off of here and move it on over here. I've got everything started, so now I'll take a wrench here and see if I can get that to move. Okay, I got my 17 ratcheting wrench, and it is going on. I want to be careful. I don't want to put it on too far. Okay, I pulled it back to look at it. I'm almost there. Okay, I hit a stop. Now that's not on as far as the old one was. The old one had just a little bit of that edge sticking out. So I'm going to have to rig up something to help this push it on a little more. Okay, I found a bolt that had a large center hole that matches. So I'm going to tighten this up against that. Okay, I turned it a few times and pulled it off and checked it. And repeated that about 3 times to be very careful. And I believe that's where it was when I took it off. The inside is just sticking out just a tad little bit. It's possible it was on just a little bit more, but I'm going to put the tensioner on and see how that looks. Okay, that looks good. I wouldn't want to put it on anymore, but I think that'll work. I'm putting this little cap back on. Okay, I had second thoughts on this, and when I put this cap in, it didn't really sit nice. So I took the puller and I pulled the pulley out so that it's not quite, but almost flush there. Still sticking out just a hair, but now this sits on here nicer. And the belt looks a little better.